Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everybody, Wendy Sellers here, the HR lady with my co-host JC.
Hi Wendy, thanks for having me back. Pardon my voice.
Absolutely. I was losing my voice earlier today, so hopefully I don't lose it on this podcast. We have an awesome, cool guest today, and she's not the CEO, but she's the SheEO of TechRage IT, Erica Martinez-Rose.
Hi, Wendy and JC. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to have this conversation with the both of you.
Awesome. We're happy to have you here too. So today we're here to talk about the importance of employee connection and engagement and, how our listeners can positively affect employee connection and engagement. I know a lot of our topics, connect and go in and out, and they're the same thing over and over and over again, but we really want to get into the nitty gritty and then get into your business, Erica, and what you're doing for your employees. So let's just start out by, kind of telling us who you are and what your business is and maybe the size of employee-wise of your business.
Sure. So we are what's called a managed services provider. In a nutshell, we help prevent technology frustrations for businesses ranging from 20 to 100 employees. We found that there was really a need for those businesses in the technology area. So we've been in business since 2015. And I oversee, as you mentioned, the people operations department. I oversee the execution and strategies that we have for our business. So there's definitely an area for a lot of growth for our employees because they end up working with 10 to 15 different companies. So it's a very fast-paced environment. Wow. And we just need to make sure that our team members are definitely engaged, collaborating, and have a lot of support for them to be successful in their role.
Awesome. I'm just going to ask you, what do you think employee connection, employee engagement means, for your business or for anybody that's listening?
So it can be very lonely. Working on a computer, and not having, especially some of our team members are fully remote. So we definitely need to make sure that we are constantly collaborating, checking in on them, communicating our expectations, because you don't have that face time with them all the time. So we are really committed to having team meetings, one-on-ones on a regular basis, weekly, as a matter of fact. And we have different channels for the team to just always be engaged. So it's just really important because, again, it can be really lonely in this department and in this IT world. Yeah,
absolutely. It's interesting that you just talk about like isolation at work and, the hierarchy of needs under Maslow is the basic human need of physical safety and making sure that people feel okay at work and connected. Research actually shows, this is from a DecisionWise survey, that 40% of employees feel isolated at work, leading to lower employee engagement. I would love to, JC? I would love to dive into that survey more. I don't have the full survey. I want to know when that was taken. And was it with remote workers or was it in-person workers or both? Because I'm willing to bet you it was with in-person workers for the majority. And now we add this remote onto it and holy isolation. Feel like you're there all alone. So we'll have to look into when that was taken. I want to say it was 2020 before the pandemic.
Just before that, looks like that was 2019, and that was from EY Belonging Barometer Study. They surveyed 1,000 employed American adults, and that's where they came up with that number. And interestingly, springboarding from that, Gallup did a State of the Global Workplace poll and found that, and this was recent, just over the past year or so, in the States, only 15% of employees state that they are actually engaged at work.
Whoa. That's a lot. Erica's probably going, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, I think that, go ahead, Wendy.
No, well, what do you do to keep your employees engaged since they're spread out all over the place and you don't physically see them all the time?
So I think the first thing is knowing your role. What's your purpose for the company? Why are you here? Why are you a member of the team? And how are you making a difference for our clients and for the company? So I think letting them know that there's a purpose of why they're here. We have a lot of metrics we've put in place for the team members to know what their goals are, and whether they are on track or off track, and how do we help them. So there's just a lot of opportunity for collaborating. And that, I think that's also important as far as engagement. So it's not just from a manager and a supervisor perspective, but as a team effort, because we work as a team to be successful. And, one person not engaged will reflect, whether in their metrics for the day, the week, the month, and then we really start seeing what's going on. Could it be just a personal thing going on that week? Could it be that they're just not getting the support that they need? So we've been really working the last 2 years on those metrics that have really helped us.
Do you find that that's a very structured and rigid type environment, or is it more agile in a sense from the IT space?
For us being a small team, it really helps us because one person who's not engaged can really impact the day or the workload for the other team members. So everybody has their own goals, and it works for us because we need to be profitable in order to be able to pay our employees. So we let them know that there's a reason why we have to be so rigid in that sense, because if we are not supporting our clients the right way, they can leave us. Yeah. And therefore, then that's going to impact our workforce, because then we can't pay all of our team members. And so we don't want that to happen. We've been telling them from the beginning that we have to be profitable. We need to have structure and efficiencies in place, because that way we also know when we need to hire. If our team members are just overworked, we need to know and see that to be able to get additional team members. So there's a lot of strategies behind that. But we tell the team members why we're doing this, so they can understand why it's so important that we're tracking these metrics.
Right. And how many people are on your team, employees or contractors, the whole team, just headcount wise?
So we are about 10. And that is, we do have some fully remote people. We have some in the office. Those are employees. And then we have some contractors as well. So 10 is our size.
Yeah, it's amazing. I just have to say kudos to you that you're at this size and you're thinking about all these things, and on this podcast and talking about engagement and profitability and making sure people know where they are. Because I can tell you there's companies that are, 10 times larger than you, and they're winging it and then going, gee, I wonder why people keep quitting, or why we're not profitable, or why our customers leave us. So, pat yourself on the back there that you're doing that right. One of the things that I wanted to also share here, I was reading this article, and JC, I think it was the same article that you were reading from too, it was in the Harvard Business Review. And, it just, again, talks about the humans need to be connected with people, and that when people feel that they belong at work, they're more productive, motivated, engaged, and 3.5 times more likely to contribute to their fullest potential. Like, that's a lot.
Big time.
So it's super important to be like, hey, you're here, you're doing good, or you're not doing good, and this is what we plan on helping you with to get you there, versus just telling them they're not doing good and then walking away. That's never helped anybody. what it's helped is that person to walk out the door. All right. So what I want to do, because you mentioned, Erica, you started mentioning about preparing people for their job. So I want to pause right there and talk about that in our next section. So we will be right back.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.